Hans, you are one of the most powerful women. Saka ndamuti ndokufundira ndokudza kuti mangwana nguva anditoda. Amen. Still gonna be the compass, mum. Like queue, I'm telling you. Look at the queue. Morning, guys. Tadzoka, guys. Tadzoka, tango itifambe tinde takadai nokukuku hatizivi kuti kunokwira bhazi here kana kuti kuindepi. Tungoteererawo vamwe kumashure uko. Guys, tomorrow I'm going to be on a radio station here in Cape Town. Please, I'll tell you the time in the radio station so that you can tune in. I hope I want to funzile chirungu, guys. Ndafonegwa ne radio station imwe iri muno Cape Town. Tomorrow they want to interview me ku radio station kwavo muno Cape Town. Kana makateerera radio station mundibvunzawo neshona please. Chirungu handichigoni. Please, radio station mangwana ku radio station tinenge ndiri tinda fonegwa ne radio station ameno ina byangu ya 1 so they want to interview me. Diaries makadiko mainda nenyika diaries mainda nenyika takupinda mabhasi manje. Okay. Oh, there's an empty one at the back. All right. Let us go at the empty one there at the back. Okay, it's in the bus. Hey. Thank you, Otilia Madaris. Thank you very much. Maenda nenyika Madaris. Iri bus empty. Maenda nenyika Madaris and this really Jimmy van Vach. It's not me, it's you. Right. The guy to Garaniche Pamberi Papa. Pamberi Papa to Garire Papa. To Garave Pamberi bus. Yeah. Ndimi Madaris, Ndimi Van Vacho, thank you for everything, guys. It's you. Maenda nembiri, guys. Mbiri yenyu iri kuzikana kwese, guys. Kana kuchinzi Madaris, akuskurewa Sis Melly. Kurkurewa mese. You are the people, you are the diaries. Kana kuchinzi Madaris, ndimuri kutaura. Musafunga kuti pakanzi diaries, parikurewa Sis Melly, no. Inini ndingori host. Ndiri host. Imi ndimi Madaris acho. Shokuti paya pamunondudza kuti ita so ndinototeerera because tane structure yedu and sa structure yedu sometimes it can make mistakes sevanhu angave admin team ingave finance team it can make mistakes sevanhu but you guys are there to tell them in a nice way because if we were doing something negative we were not going kuenda nembiri zvataita izvi saka mangwana radio station ichakudzai kuti mochuna nguvai because vati ndiconfirm time semunhu anga akabhukawo mangwana kuita zvimwe zvinhu so ndotomeka sure kuti ndasqueeze time taenda kuradio station kuti mbonotaura nezvediaries tiri pamhepo eka indamanya kubaya live but anchiti zvekuda tasvika handakusati tasvika ndamanya kubaya live but anchiti pamwe da tasvika zvekuzvo hatisati tasvika tichapinda mumabhazi inga zvakaoma. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, my sister. Thank you, my lovely sister. Thank you, Martha. Thank you guys. So tichazotaura zveinterview time patichaita ndichaita nelive yemachristmas presents saka anenge asipo hapo nhasi manhedu tichaita live yemachristmas presents ndigare ndazvipedza because vanhu vari kubvunza kuti saka haufa totengera ani ndotengera ani but asati azvipedza saka nhasi toda kuti zvipedze zvemachristmas presents izvi. So I'll come later on today manheru kana ndave relaxed ndave kuhotel room and then tonyatsokutaura nokuti time yacho yafamba anditika and then ndopatichazotaura nezve guys. Make sure you are there because pane zvakawanda zvichaitika palife iyoyo. Pane vachaita lucky ravo vari less unfortunate vachawanawo machristmas hampers from diaries saka make sure kuti you are there. Kana usipo haupo kana ukazouyawo ukawanikwawo handiti make sure you all there. Mai mofu radio station I'll tell you ndichakudzai manheru pandichauya palive kuti radio station yacho inonzani because vanifonera ndichiburuka ipapa izvozvi pandaburuka ipapa ndopanga vachitofonawo saka vanga vachitoti vanga vati today ndikati ndiri kure saka ndozo vakati ora simotikonfemera kuti mangwana onguvai saka ndichavakonfemera mangwana. Saka please manheru momeka shoti muripo tikuenda kuningirikiri hande tikuenda kwamandela hande kwamandela uko tikuenda kwamandela ina ndati zvokuda tasvika ndosaka ndadabaya live button indakosati asati tasvika tichapinza mubhasi saka tapinda mubhasi tapinda mubhasi. Gillian yeCape Town yakaannouncwa. Gillian yeCape Town takaitaura. We actually had dinner with some other diaries. Ku Grand West. It was announced several times. Maybe you just missed the post. We went even to Camps Bay yesterday with some other diaries. I don't know how you could have missed that one. I don't know. Vangoisa notice.
Families can sit together. Sorry people, everybody who's got a family member can sit together.
Okay.
So that we can create space for other people.
Radio station, just an interview about diaries. My diaries, this I'm saying it's you guys, my diaries. It's not me. All of us makes my diaries. So interview, it's just an interview because they know about this diaries. So andichatauri zvakawanda zvavandiudza but tichazonzwana ivo kana ndaenda kupacho pamepo pacho ndichakuudzai kuti istation ipi so that you can tune in. I don't know how they got to know kuti I'm Cape Town. I don't know how they got my number. I don't know.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Welcome on board. How's everyone feeling?
Good.
No, it's not cold today. It's just a bad trust of clothing.
Stoko.
Well, nonetheless, welcome. Folks, my name is Tabo. I'm with my colleague, his name is Heli. And together we are going to be your hosts. The first phase of the tour, we are doing a historic drive around the island.
Okay.
And we are to share the layered history as far back as documented. The second part, you are then joining a former political prisoner, and he is going to be sharing his own prison experience.
Okay.
But at the same time, you'll get to see different sections of the prison. But if you have questions and you'd like to take photos as we continue the journey, you are more than welcome to do so. Just a reminder that departure time will be at 2 o'clock, but you will be walking from the prison all the way down to the harbor. It takes about 5 minutes. And it's the last ferry that will be going back today, so whatever happens, if you go and see the penguins, just make sure that you get to the boat on time, or even the exhibition in the maximum prison. Well, this structure that is on the right side here is the visitor center, where the families came to see the prisoners, including the lawyers and those that were given authority by the government. But I'm sure the former prisoner will share as to how the prison visits were conducted and the kind of impact that it also had on them. The maximum prison is what you see in front of us, which was built by political prisoners during the apartheid era. But as the regime was established in 1948, this island only opened in 1960 as a political prison. But on the far right side, just down the road here, we have what they call the Old Trunk, where the first group of prisoners were accommodated. But then a collective decision was taken in Parliament that they built their own prison and that they be forced to. But according to the racial policy, it was only black male prisoners that were incarcerated here, meaning Africans, Indians, as well as coloreds. But the women were kept in various prisons around the country. And the white male political prisoners were mainly in Pretoria Central Prison. But this was regarded as the worst prison that we had in the country.
Yep.
This is what you'll get to experience later. And you'll be shown by the former prisoner relating his own personal experience as to how he was able to survive this island.
Okay.
The building that's on the right side that looks like a mosque is known as a Karamat. And that was built in honor of an Indonesian political prisoner that was exiled to South Africa in the late 1600s. As we were occupied by the Dutch in around 1652, it was only a few years later that this island began as a political prison. But it's not only South Africans that were brought here. As the Dutch conquered in various other colonies, there were other prisoners that were brought to South Africa that resisted their rule as well. So that also gave the influence of Islam in South Africa. But only during apartheid was that structure built in honor of the Sheikh. On the right side, we have what is known as the leprosy graveyard.
Okay.
So these were people that suffered from leprosy that were South Africans, but they were brought here in order to avoid the spread of leprosy. And that was during the British occupation in South Africa. From the early 1840s, they brought here people in numbers, the mentally ill as well, but they were also prisoners on the island at the same time. But they were kept quite a distance from where the patients were. Later on, we will get to see the historic village, where we have the churches, the hospital wards, and other structures as to where the lepers were accommodated here. And that's also where it's quite an interesting community that lives here. There's about 200 people, but that includes the former prisoners and a very few of the former prison warders, and the rest is our staff that lives here with their families. But it's only on those bases as to how you are able to live here. My colleague lives on the island.
Oh, okay.
But I commute on a daily basis, so it's by choice whether you want to live here or not. On the far left side, across, where you see those houses and buildings, that is the closest distance to the mainland. That area is known as Bloberg Strand, or the Table View area. It's about 7 kilometers approximately. Folks, we have now come to the house of Robert Sobukwe, the leader of the Pan-African Congress that was kept in total isolation from all the other prisoners here. But his involvement was in the protest against the pass law in 1960. And the pass law protest, as peaceful as it was, unfortunately it led to the Sharpeville massacre, where 69 people were gunned down. And that is what motivated the government to have reopened this island as a political prison, amongst other events that were happening around the country. But now what makes his case unique here is the fact that after he served 3 years in Johannesburg, the government refused to release him, as they had noticed that he had quite a great influence on the masses.
Okay.
So Parliament strategically introduced a new law that they named the Robert Sobukwe's Clause in Parliament, which determined that he was to be sentenced to the island for an indefinite period and that he had to serve in solitary confinement here. So the house on the left side with the water tank is where he was kept in isolation. We are all going to disembark slowly and get to see the house as it's now open to the public.
Okay.
But the structures that you see next to the house are kennels that were built for dogs in the late 70s. And these were dogs after the 76 uprising that were brought to the island to enforce security here. Robert Sobukwe was here for only 6 years, between 1963 up until 1969. He left the island due to medical reports that he was diagnosed with lung cancer. So the government decided to transfer him to Kimberley, where he further had to continue the sentence under house arrest. And that is where this leader died in police custody, February 1978. But the house as we see it, no one else was incarcerated here, as it's now named in honor of him. As we will get to see the house, folks, there's also a space where his children slept, as the government allowed family visits for him. So we will also get to see that part. My colleague and I, we will divide the group in half. Some will go and see the house and the others will get to see where the children slept, so that we are not all cramped up inside. So please follow me. If there are any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay. Bye. Bye. Hande tonaimba hiyo iwe utora mapicha ndi asizapedza but because panenge pane nyaya pana tora pakanzi Sobukwe house.
So folks, I think the first half is going to go with my colleague to see where the children slept. And then we will do a swap over and get to see the house as well. Yeah.
Nanzi stoko. Burada severim.
Thank you, people. Can you come closer? Hello. Thank you, people. Can you come closer? The reason why I stopped here, I think I must have put the mask and I can hear me properly.
Yeah.
This is dog kennel, where they kept the dogs after Robert Sobukwe was taken off the island. So they built this. This was security dogs. As you saw there, you're going to the prison, then you will see double fence area right around the island, around the prison. So they put the dogs there, prevent the prisoners to escape. This is the reason why they built this here. And this one section here was actually the breeding place of the dogs.
Sure.
And this was just to keep the dogs here. Feed them and just keep them here for security purposes. Now we can go inside. Sorry, recording is not allowed, right?
Okay.
Recording is not allowed. But you can take pictures as much as you want. You can come inside. Yeah, that is Robin Island policy. You can go inside. Take some pictures and one all up and then you can go around to the
Uri kuona kuti history yakakosha guys. History yakakosha mukuona kwai hamudiwi kurekodha asi ndachingopota chingobirirawo kuti muone. Muri kuona kuti history yakakosha guys. History yakakosha. Umu kwai ndo mira ndikutsanangurira zvaanga achitaura. Kwai umu ndo maigara imbwa umu. Kwai ndo maigara imbwa dzakanga dzichichengetwa. Iyo muri kuona picture yembwa iyo. Kwai ndo maigara imbwa dzakanga dzichichengetwa nevarungu vaya vachidzi kwai dzaibhridhira umu. Imbwa idzi dzochengeterwa umu kuitira kuti dzizotorwa umu dzichinoiswa kujere uko kwaive nevasungwa kuitira kuti vasungwa vadi vasakwanisa kutisa nevarungu ivava vega ndachenava. Saka mukati umu ndo muna sebukwe wacho wokuti sebukwe uyu kwai akaonekwa kuti wakanga ane njere dzakapinza. Saka zvakanga ane njere dzakapinza kudaro aigona kuzoinfluenza that side. Okay. So aigona kuzoinfluenza other people kuti kuvapa maideas. Saka nzi vakazviona vakamutora vakamubvisa kunoko. Hanzi akazobva kunoko nemedical condition yelung cancer achiiswa kukimba kunozi house arrest kwaibva report Elizabeth Kimberley somewhere there. Uyu munhu ushu anga akadai powerful ushu vikaiti mbowa zvimwe. Iyo ushu murume wacho ndiye murume wacho ushu ndiye aikonzeresa iyi. Saka iye akanga kugara muno, iyi ndo yanga iri mubhedha wake uyu. Ndo wanga uri mubhedha wake uyu mubhedha uyu. Ndo wanga wakaisiwa muno chii mubhedha wake. And then I think apa ndo tsamba dzainyora idzi. Achinyorera mhuri yake tsamba idzi. So guys, these are the letters. Yeah, these are yes. This is these are the letters that he was writing to his family. So sad, ne? So guys, handimuri kuva zvousa tsitsi tione uko apa ndo pai ainhira apa ndo pai ainhira apa ipapa apa uyu akatomira apa achiaina apa uyu akatomira apa achiaina apa aito aina apa tsamba dzake dzimwe dzainyorera hama yafamily yake idzi tsamba idzi tsamba dzake idzi tsamba ainyorera kafamily yake akagadzigwa akavigwa kamuno anga akachengetwa kamujere kuno kukako. Saka icho ainyorera hama dzake. Muchaziva kudhara tichinyora tsamba idzi tichiisa stembu iyi. Ainyorera hama dzake tsamba idzi akavharirwa muno. Iye aito ainira apa aigara murumo. Dzimwe tsamba dzake idzi. Tsamba dzake idzi. Iye murume aive neungwaru uchu. Iye murume uchu ndiye waive neungwaru. Naimbomubata iye murume waive neungwaru. Zvakaoma hande. Hapakaipa guys. Sorry guys, nekamera iri kuroteta. Inotoroteta kamera because mumwe vari kuti havasi kuda makamera. Handiti kuti urekodhe. Saka ini ndobva ndangoita senge ndakaisa pasi kudai asi ichitorekodha bijani. Hanomaona ehe. Saka sorry phone guys, ichange ichirekodha ichiroteta saizvozvo kuti mukwanise kuona nokuti kumwe kwacho havasi kuda kuti vanongotora mapictures but vanenge vachiti musarekodha. Saka ndinoda kuti kamuonewo. Ndizvazvinoreva kuti ainyora tsamba idzi ndofunga paipa dzinoti dzipostwe dzichiisa kuvarungu. Varungu votora tsamba dziya dziya vodi voviga. Ndofunga ndozvaitika. Ameno ndizvo zvaitika tichanzwa kumberi ikoko kuda vodaro. Ameno ngaitidzokere mubhasi hedu tiogara mubhasi zvakaoma. Ivo vanhu havasi vamwe vacho ndo vakafanira leprosi vaya vataona vakavigwa uko. Muri kuona makuvaya mukuona makuvaya ari pabhasi aya ndiwo ayaenda kutaridzai kumasure uko. Aya makuva ayaenda kutaridzai kumasure uko. Aya anomaona ndiwo ayaenda kutaridzai. Ava ndo vanhu vacho vakatofa. Vamwe vakatofa neleprosi, vamwe vakatofawo nezvimwe zvavakatodiwa zvokufira kujere kuno. Vamwe vakatozobuda wasi vakazofawo. Yeah, you wanted to stay there, the corner. I see you. Aiwa yaMandela asati asvika tichasvikako. Asati tasvika yaMandela tikuindako. Tatangira pane uyu unonzi Sivoko. Sivukwe. The Robben Island where Mandela was kept when he was in prison. Ne? Kujera titoenda zvena vidu kwandi tiri patoo naye Sasha tiri patoo zvesasha kakana vachitaridza kwese tichienda toenda kwese vanenge vachifamba nesachienda kwese nhasi bhatiri redu rikangoga kupera chete bhatiri zvinoda rapa 49% dei rikambochovhawo at least rimboti chovhei because tinenge tine nguva chaicho history yakakosha guys tandisingadoziziviwo takutoziziva saka yakakosha guys kune vaya vasingazowaniwo mukana wokuya kuno kana kuti wekuti vaonewo motongobatirira motongoonawo ipapapa we'll go back at 2. You're hungry. You are bored. You should have told me, then you were going to be stay behind in the hotel room, sleeping the whole day. You thought maybe we had games here. No, there are no games here. This one is for people who want to learn, but you must learn also, you must know the history of South Africa. Right? Yeah. Also, when you are a South African, hey. Naye zvako loveness ndichatotenga power bank handina power bank naiwe uchititengi power bank iwe ndifundidze because sure ka zvakakosha kudai ona ive mashava tichimirira vamwe atimboona ive mashava gesi naita mistake mwana mudiki haatodi kuya kuno kudeda ziva ndamusiya akutobhoikana apa chiri kuitekwa vava weitindi izvo
Do you know if it was like repainted or maintained since?
Yeah, for a while.
But now they, like this wasn't the original.
Yeah, this was the original house.
Okay, they just painted to maintain.
but that bed that we saw there is it the real bed, the original bed that Siboko was sleeping on?
That's the original beds that were there since that time.
Okay, so where is he?
Robert Sobukwe died.
Okay.
That is 1969.
1969. And where is his grave?
His wife passed on now 3 years ago. One of his sons, they had 4 children and there's only 2.
Okay.
The last one died last.
ndoda kutovhunza mubvunzo nhasi vanohwanini vanokaura nhasi tingaitira kuti muzivewo ikoko ndotovhunza chite mubvunzo mubvunzo ndoda kutovhunza nhasi ndoda kutosenda nyangadza muno mubhasi kuti kana kwasavhunza mubvunzo nogoti wafambirei waingei unova kuziva zvinhu zvakakwana nezviro mishowo ndakatonogwa ya panyaya yetsamba mirai ndimirire uyo anonyatsogona kutsanangura neblue ndoda kubvunza panyaya yetsamba apa panyaya yetsamba manje asi ndisazokanga sachirungu ndikasekwa nevarungu vari muno ndezvavo izvo ndokona ngobvunza neshona aya mamaskiti akapfeka mamaskiti inotori nawo mamaskiti nawo
All right, folks. From here, we are going to proceed towards the limestone quarries, where the leaders labored that were in the maximum prison. But before we leave, are there any questions? Oh, yes.
I just wanted to ask about the letters that I saw inside. So those letters, did he keep them there, or maybe he was posting them and they could not reach to where they were going, or how did they find them?
Well, the lady is asking about the letters. The letters which you saw on the wall, ma'am, were actually kept by his family.
Okay.
So when the museum made the request to actually open the house for the public, the wife and the children brought all the letters to the museum. The newspaper articles, I mean even some of the wardens that are here still. They were able to help put together the exhibition. Our heritage department is right here, so it's part of the archives that we have in the museum.
Okay.
So they were able to just display that to the public.
But those blankets that we saw in the bed, those are the original things
those
that
are
he
the
used.
Original. No, those are, I could not say that they are the original, but it's a presentation just to give you an idea
all right. Okay.
of what the situation was like in the 60s.
Okay.
So folks, as I said, we are going to the lime quarry. Okay, there's another question.
I see there's no fridge, there's no stove, there's nothing in there.
There's no fridge, no stove. Well, it was a prison, ideally, by the government. So his food was brought over by the guards. What you saw, the photograph of the books, he had the shelf, he had the iron, he had the bed, the bit of radio, just the basics for him to have, lived through the day. So, on the right side, folks, if you look, I just want to show you an example as to how limestone was used here. Because now the leaders that were with Nelson Mandela in the maximum prison worked in the limestone quarry that we are going to see. But the younger prisoners had the responsibility to make sure that limestone was spread throughout the island. And this is how it was used to build roads throughout the entire island. It was all part of hard labor. Yes, ma'am?
I also saw he had a degree in economics. How did that go about? How did he...
Oh, Sebokwe.
Yes.
Oh, the lady is asking about Sebokwe. And she noticed that he also had a degree in economics. Yes, whilst he was in prison.
Yes.
Somehow the government allowed him to study, as you had seen the books there as well. So he did a far distant learning program through the University of London. And he was able to complete that degree whilst he was still a prisoner here.
Okay.
I mean, even prior to him being brought to the island as a political prisoner, before the 1960 protest, he actually resigned from the Witwatersrand University as one of the professors there. Yeah, in the humanities faculty. So he was a learned leader as well.
Okay, so is the family compensated for every material that they gave up?
Is the family compensated for the material
that they gave up to the government? Yeah.
Oh no, the family wholeheartedly gave the information, I mean the letters and all, because they understand the role that the leader played in the liberation of South Africa. And the government made sure that he was isolated here. The public had no interaction with him. So for our kids who will now learn about the oppression that people went through during the Dompas era and apartheid, they don't understand that in this era of this new political dispensation. So it was all basically for educational purposes that they were able to donate all of that to the museum.
Okay.
So this is the limestone quarry. There are 3 different stone quarries that we have on the island. This is the limestone, as I explained, it was only used for the roads to be built. There is also what they call the blue slate quarry. The blue slate quarry is where the prisoners worked in the 60s that were forced to help build the prison. You will get to see it on the exterior parts of it. And we will get to see another quarry when we drive along the coast, what they call the Jan van Riebeeck quarry, which reflects the Dutch occupation in the 1600s, where the first prisoners labored, way back in those days. So I just wanted to show you what this area looks like. What you see on top there is a guard tower, which was all for security measures. And there's also a cave that was used as their toilet if they needed to relieve themselves. There were not more than 35 prisoners that worked in this area, and you will get to see where all the leaders were kept, in the isolation cells in the B section. So they made sure the same system of divide, rule and conquer, and to avoid political influence, is also applied on the island. The leaders could not mix with the other younger political prisoners. There were also criminals here at the same time. Even the criminals were separated from political prisoners. I will get to show you the convicts prison, where it is located, when we move from here. There's also a pile of stones that you see in the center of the quarry. That pile of stones is regarded as a monument of remembrance. And that took shape in 1995 on the 11th of February, just a year after the apartheid regime was abolished. President Mandela called all the political activists that were incarcerated in the country to come to the island for that historical reunion. The women were invited, including the males, the white males that were in Pretoria, and those that were in exile that were able to come here as well. So after the ceremony that was held here, each one had to place a stone on top of another, just to have marked that day in history, because they reflect that the island, it spans a period of more than 400 years that it was used as a political prison. But with the end of apartheid, it was now on a clean slate to say that this is the past that we have to, let go, but always to remember and to be able to teach our children about it. So it's a part of unity, as how they say that it will always set that example, how as human beings from different walks of life, we were able to overcome the apartheid regime in our lives in this country. So it looks very simple, but it has quite an in-depth meaning to it. In 2018, we had the reserve men come to the island in the beginning of that year, and during Nelson Mandela's birthday, they released the 100 Rand note, which has the pile of stones in the background of it, in honor of him in his centenary celebration. So you'll get to see that the 100 Rand note in South Africa has two versions. The older one that has the buffalo, and the new one that has that pile of stones, which was actually in honor of the leader and all the political activists that sacrificed their lives for our liberation in the country. Where is everyone from? I was speaking to the guys from Holland earlier on, and from Austria. Where is everyone from, might I ask?
From the Gambia.
We are visitors from Gambia.
Yes.
Welcome to South Africa.
Thank you.
Australia?
We are visitors from Australia.
Rustenburg.
We are visitors from Rustenburg. Where are the South Africans?
Victoria.
One here.
Oh, I have to pass in South Africa. This is Ayoba.
Oh, this is in there.
Yeah, 2020 has been a challenging year.
What Mandela was.
It's actually good that we are able to at least come out and
She wants to
have
ask.
these kind of experiences. Oh yes, you want to ask?
Remove this.
What did Mandela do to come to prison?
What did Mandela do to come to prison? This young lady is asking the question. Very important question. Well, Mandela fought against the government of that time because of the racist laws that were implemented in society. So he fought against the idea that black and white people must live separately. So that was one of his crimes, in a nutshell. There's a tortoise in the middle of the road, in front. It's on the right side here.
This one.
This is Robben Island traffic.
This one. Did you see it? Ah, it's not burning yet, sir.
So this is the church where the leprosy patients had services. But it's now under the authority of the Anglican Church. And we also have another church in the historical village. And that was a church where the leprosy medical staff attended. But it's now used by the residents that live on the island. And it's also open to the public on Valentine's Day only. Well, people come here to get married. We had 21 couples this year that got married. Well, marriage is viewed as a life sentence here. So Valentine's Day is like a perfect day to commit to life.
So where can I get the video that was playing in the book?
Where can you get the video?
Yeah.
Well, they don't sell it to the public. I don't know why. Because that's such an educational video. This is the convicts' prison, where they kept all the criminals. As I said earlier, when they noticed that there was a great influence from the political prisoners that spread onto the criminals, they built this separate for them. And folks, for those who don't know, as we all understand that Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years. He was on Robben Island for 18 years. And from here he was transferred to a prison in Cape Town, which is known as Portsmouth Prison, where he spent an additional 7 years. And the last 2 years he then spent under house arrest in Victor Verster prison. And that's where we saw him released from on the 11th February 1990. A year after, all other political prisoners were then released. We only had criminals here that stayed until 1996. So 2 years after apartheid abolished, they decided then that the island was also closed. It must be closed. Oh no. Really? Really?
The criminals that were here, the non-political prisoners, were they only black prisoners, black criminals?
Yeah, the criminals, they were black, but we're talking of hardcore criminals that were here.
So you're saying there was not even one white criminal?
No, they declared Robben Island for only black men, according to the racist policy of the government of the day. But you know what is surprising that I've come to learn is that there was one white prisoner that was here.
Okay.
The senior South Africans would know of him. Dimitris Safangas. Does that name ring a bell?
Yeah.
He was charged for assassinating the Prime Minister, Dr. Verwoerd, in the 60s. He used to work in Parliament as a messenger, but nobody really knows as to what motivated him. And he stabbed the Prime Minister in Parliament.
In Parliament?
Yeah, he killed him in Parliament. Yeah.
Sure.
And for that crime, Dimitris Safangas was declassified from being white.
Oh. Oh.
He said he had a black mentality.
Oh.
So that's how he came to the island, but only for a short while.
Sure.
And he was then transferred to a mental asylum in Boksburg.
Sure.
How much time do you have?
No, just a few months. Yeah, yes, Mr. Safangas, it's been a few months. Oh, folks, this is the village, by the way. As you'd seen, the clinic, the sports facilities, and the houses. This is where now we have all our staff living here.
Okay.
But you know, people are now at work. Schools are closed, so it's like a ghost town, basically.
Yeah.
This is the church that's open on Valentine's Day, so you can make bookings even for next year or any other time. I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
So the people that live here, they pay for rent, water and electricity, and it's all government employees.
So who owns the buildings? The government?
The buildings, the island belongs to the government.
Okay. Do they have to, the people that live here, do they have to commute to the mainland?
They commute on a daily basis, but we don't have to pay for the ferry rides if you're a staff member.
There's no like a supermarket on the island?
Oh, there's a supermarket there on the left side, and that's the only shop, so it has no competition. We also had a school as well. This used to be the Robin Island Primary School, but it closed down a few years ago. I think it was 2011. We had 18 learners. But now it means that children have to commute on a daily basis. So people travel back and forth daily. And the origins of this building, it used to be one of the hospital wards at the time that the leprosy patients were here.
Were people living here when the prisoners were around?
Were people living here when the prisoners were around? Yes. The prison guards lived here with their families in those days. So what happened after apartheid ended in 1994, they decided to close the island in 1996. The president made the call because they actually took a collective decision as political prisoners that the island must now open as a museum. So Mandela said, whoever is willing to be part of rebuilding the history and laying the foundations of this island, and that has a connection, is more than welcome to do so. So very few of the warders came back, and a very few of the former prisoners as well. But I got to observe over the years and learn that these were actually people that established the relationships during the prison time. Because the warders also shared how they were brainwashed and negatively influenced by society. So when they came here, they had a different perspective of the prisoners. But with time, they were able to understand why they were actually brought here and what they were fighting for.
And with you, what connection do you have here?
What connection? Every South African has a connection here.
Yeah.
So this used to be the British governor's residence. At the time, the leprosy patients were here. And it's now used as our guest house. So this is where we have dignitaries hosted on the island. And I've met quite a few. And celebrities as well. So there were plans before COVID that some of these houses would have been opened as guest houses. So if you probably would have wanted to spend a night over with the kids and the family, you would have had to make bookings. So with this whole COVID situation, we don't know as to what the future holds. So folks, we're now going to have an interval for about 5 or 10 minutes. If you'd like to use the bathroom or maybe buy some refreshments, this will be the best time for that. And in front you can see one of the best views of the mountain. Unfortunately, there's a cloud cover, but the Lion's Head, there's 100% visibility of it. In front there's a picture frame if you'd like to take a photo with your loved ones. This is our canteen in front here as well, and the bathroom facilities are next to it.
want to eat something? Sit here. Or you come. You sit. Katimbonotsvaka drink. Twende. Regai timbonotsvaka mazimba mune drink. Hey. But bhatiri rangu rane 34% nasikana. But inayo yangu ini bhatiri yako ndio kushandisa kuti hatindoshandisa jani.